Hello and welcome to another episode of The Modern Nerd. I'm Tim Bolin.
I'm Dan Smirch.
And I'm GJC.
And we are, as always, do it with me now, massive nerds. So, we have some things to talk about today. You know what really grinds my gears? No. We have some trailers. Yeah, we've had some things happen in the past couple of weeks that we kind of want to talk about. We've been watching shows, we've been playing games, and there's been a whole bunch of trailers that have dropped and a whole bunch of other things going on in the world. So we're going to talk about those today. But first, how's it going? How's everyone doing? Let's check in. What are you watching? What are you playing? Anything new?
Tim, what you playing?
Nothing. Dan has finally gotten me into Stardew Valley. And it's good. It's very good. I am enjoying the farming life and mining and fishing. Playing that a lot. You can probably find me streaming it starting shortly. The Discord I'll put in the comments and the Twitch I'll put in the comments. I believe it's SirSlice13, just like everything else. And yeah. Otherwise, I'm still playing Fortnite and kicking some major ass in that as well. So that's all I'm doing. Well, watching. What have I watched? I watched everything we're going to talk about, really. Rewatching Futurama for a lighthearted show during lunch and everything.
A random episode that was on.
I started The Expanse again, but the problem is I have limited time during the day to watch it. And we have such massive windows and so much natural light that like 90% of the show I can't physically see on the screen. It's just so dark and there's so much light everywhere else in the room that I can't see anything. So I've only watched like 1-2 episodes. So it'll be a slow trek getting through The Expanse, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also been playing Stardew and still trying to finish out Subnautica. Started playing you'll like this. Started playing Fallout Shelter just kind of randomly. Just looking for something to.
It's a good game, dude.
It's fun, dude.
You play it on.
There's times where you just kind of have to like wait, so you just like go and do something else. But that's kind of nice, actually. Just PC.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you played it on your phone or whatever. Tablet.
No, my phone battery is too shit. But I am finishing up the second season of the Orville, and it's the best Star Trek show on TV right now. And it's coming back with Hulu. New Frontiers, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you like Star Trek, you'll like this. It's very, I mean, I hate saying the word ripoff because they're doing it so elegantly. But it is, just different terms for everything. They can't say, I don't know. Everything's called something slightly different, but it's really good.
They can't use the word phaser.
Yeah, exactly. They're
like warp drive.
Yeah. They said warp core, something core. It's so similar you don't even notice it. And I gotta say, I've said it before. I think Seth MacFarlane doing a pretty damn good job. I was definitely not looking forward to him in a leading role after things like A Million Ways to Die in the West, but he's doing it.
Terrible.
He's taking it very seriously. He's not amazing or anything, but he's got a really strong supporting cast, and it's just a great science fiction exploratory show. And if you like Star Trek, you can't not like this. And I like Star Trek, so.
Do you remember where we saw A Million Ways to Die in the West?
I do, on the way out to Colorado with Eddie.
We saw it in Sterling, Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good times.
George, what about you? What you got going on these days?
Did you buy any lunch boxes?
Where? In Sterling, Colorado?
No, Fallout Shelter.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I bought a bunch.
You bought a bunch? You guys bought one? Oh man, I started a game
I got like the $5 package.
And
that's it. Like that's it. That's all I'm gonna do.
I played it when it first came out, and I was like really into it, and I did buy a couple of lunch boxes. But then I was like, after that, I was like adamant. I was like, no, I'm not spending any more money. I used to grind it out, but it was first came out. It's like a fun game.
Yeah, the little missions you can take. I didn't know you could do little mini missions. I thought it was all shelter. So once I found that out, I was like, oh, okay, this is like
That's new. That
a
not
little
new,
more
but like that wasn't in the original when it first came out. It was just you were
Yeah.
just in the shelter, and then that came along after I think their first like major update. So I kind of enjoyed it too, and you get more loot when you do the little missions. On the little you run into a death claw, and you're like, you're like, oh my god, it's a death claw. Like, oh great. Like,
Dr. Scorpion. Oh my god, Dr. Scorpion's mentioning the ship in the Orville is like a sperm. It is.
I mean, the show's like it's like
Clover,
the Princess Bride television show. You know what I mean? It's like it's satire, but it's
dude,
faithful
I
and
gotta,
good
yeah,
and
but the
story.
comedy takes a far backseat, even more
Yeah.
than Princess Bride. Like it's like third or fourth, and it's kind of impressive. Nerds, what's up, Stallion?
I've been watching all the stuff that we're gonna talk about, as well as a show I wanted to bring up is actually I was watching Superman and Lois. I've been watching it. It's now in like its second season.
You liking it?
It's an interesting show. I mean, it falls into the same trap I think a lot of shows like that do, especially CW shows, which is like, eventually everyone's gonna be like part of the team and they got powers or something. Like, I don't know. It's like, man, like you can't like. Why does the whole cast have to be of all supers? Like, I just.
I can't with a show that has Superman have children. It's like that's not physically possible.
It's
Lois
crazy.
cannot bear his children.
Well, no, actually, that you know how they explained it. Do you know how they explained it though? Right in this universe, it's because it's technically Arrowverse, and like what happened is that before they all merged together into that planet, called
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. Before that happened, in the world that Superman and Supergirl are in, Argos survived, which is like an offshoot colony of Krypton. And actually, when after Lois and Clark got married, honeymooned in Argos, where he doesn't have any powers because he's a son, and that's how they conceive the kids.
Sure,
and they actually even had the kids
like
on Argos.
DNA.
Because the technology there is more like,
sure,
more, and so like, and Supergirl had to like, hold the fort down while they were off on their honeymoon. Anyways, interesting show in the sense that I think it is trying to do something that other CW shows aren't, but also still has that same vein. I don't know,
dude. I don't know, man. The CW DC shows, I can't. I'm done, dude. I can't. They're not good. Like. They're, even the Flash, I'm like, I haven't even watched anymore because it just kind of feels like the same thing. Like I've seen.
It changes after like the third or fourth season. It gets a lot. It gets different. It's not just like I changed history, which is first season, the second season.
It still feels like Smallville.
Anyways,
so before we dive into the TV shows that we're going to talk about, obviously Obi-Wan, Stranger Things, and a little bit on Miss Marvel because there's only one episode out. But I want to talk a little bit about some of these trailers we've got. We've got the big controversial one that came out like a couple weeks ago, I think at this point, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, is the She-Hulk one for me. Because of the uproar that happened with the CGI of She-Hulk herself. Like if you watch that first trailer, it's the green is neon and glowing. She doesn't look like she's a part of the background. It looks like amateurs made it, unfortunately, but a lot of reports have come out about they had her, and a lot of people are saying that it's not She-Hulk. She's not like huge and bulky. Why does Hulk get to be massive, but she has to still be feminine? And so there was a big uproar about that. And originally the people had the designers had her a lot bigger, and the execs just kept saying make her smaller, make her smaller, make her smaller. And the eventually what ended up happening was after that first trailer release, they dropped the trailer again on Disney Plus, but they did update some of the CGI so it looks a little bit more cohesive with the rest of the background. So the show looks fine. The premise of the show looks like it's going to be a little different for a Marvel show. It's more of a procedural and that kind of stuff. So that sounds good to me. But it's just the whole
I
make her She-Hulk, make her
Yeah,
larger
dude.
than life.
Yeah, triple big. Give us a strong ladies, man. Why is she so fat? Like, I mean, she looks good, but she's not supposed to look that. She's supposed to look like the Hulk kind of like maybe not be like as like jacked, but still like she doesn't look like she's yeah, I agree completely.
She
I
just
don't.
looks like a tall green person,
Yeah, and she
you
looks
know.
yeah, exactly like I don't know
Yeah,
why whatever. I did not know that about the I must have seen the updated trailer then because I thought it looked okay.
it still
Um,
looks pretty bad to me, but
I don't know.
thought it looked fine.
I think I'm biased. I'm kind of excited.
if you go back and rewatch it and then
Maybe.
like look at some of the other stuff that they've given us, like the Moon Knight costume and the way that looks is beautiful and gorgeous and detailed, and like
That's true.
it's there's a physical to it, and then even the CGI when they have it looks great. I don't know, it
Mhm.
just looks cheap compared to a lot of the other stuff.
Interesting.
I know George is excited for the TV show based off of the one line of script that made a whole movie that now has its own show from Star Wars, Andor, which is the prequel to the
I don't
Rogue
even
One
remember this guy.
Rogue One movie,
I don't
which
even
is just
remember
ridiculous.
this guy.
He's literally the rebel, the guy. Cassian Andor is his name, and it's just like, of all the things to tell, like,
I blame this.
why that?
That
Rogue
rag
One-
has been
I blame
wrung.
this on you
There's
people who are like,
nothing
Rogue One's
left
great.
to wring out of that rag.
A lot of people like Rogue One.
I throw
Rogue
this
One
purely
did very
on the
well.
yeah. I throw this on at the feet of people who are Rogue One fans. So whatever. I mean, I'm sure people who are Rogue fans will enjoy this. So good for you. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this might be the series of Star Wars that I skip and be like, fuck it, I don't care.
I don't know.
Yeah, like there's no consequence at all, and I get that, but I guess you could say that about other Star Wars shows. But I don't know. I can't believe that thing's got wings. But good for them, I guess. I probably won't watch it either. I have no desire to.
There's so many shows that they announced at their Star Wars celebration. There's going to be an Acolyte show. There's going to be like just so many coming out, and they all are such vague concepts. You've got, Ahsoka, who's been announced and everything, so that's exciting. I think that'll be cool. We've got Skeleton Crew, which is going to be led by Jude Law, which I don't really know much about. It's John Watts who did Spider-Man's, so that one I'm kind of intrigued by, just because that's like, he did a great job with the Spider-Man stuff. They've got Rangers of the New Republic. They've got a Lando show. Like, I mean, so many things are coming out.
If it's not Donald Glover as Lando, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Like we want that's what we actually want. We want Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah,
because he was.
I saw someone
far and away the best part of that movie.
I saw someone post something where it was like, I just want a show where it's opening with Billy D. Williams sitting at a cantina playing cards, and he starts talking about an adventure, and then it fades to Donald Glover and reenacting what he's doing. And I'm like, yes,
please,
that's perfect.
Give it to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Donald Glover.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's not like I have anything wrong with D. Williams.
Donald Glover just
see something
great.
new.
Is he's a talented man.
Yeah. I guess really for trailers, there was maybe a couple others that I might be missing. We're going to kind of glance over it because these are all going to kind of absorb into the greater conversation that we're going to have here in a little bit. I do want to say that they did just announce yesterday that the Marvel's Thunderbolts movie has officially been pushed forward with a director and a writer. So we've got Eric Pearson as the writer, who wrote such gems as Ragnarok and Agent Carter. He did a bunch of the one-shots. for like the one shot Item 47, the Consultants, all those Marvel one shots that they did. He also did Godzilla versus Kong and Black Widow, so lost a couple points with those. But he is the writer, and then Jack Schreier is the director, who has done little to no anything other than some music videos. He did a few episodes. I guess he did Kidding with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's show that he did. But he did a bunch of music videos and something called Beef. I don't know. It's coming out. So he's going to be directing. Which cool. They've got it going, and they've been building it slowly, and people like Yelena, Taskmaster, Baron Zemo, all these people who are anti-heroes to an extent. So
Agent Carter
that has been announced.
Fun.
I love Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Agent Carter should have had more justice for Agent Carter.
Whatever.
Yeah, but it sounds like
about that.
other than like the Marvels movie that's coming out with Captain Marvel and everything, this may be one of the first ventures we have of the small screen characters coming to the big screen, which I think will be an interesting transition to see how they're handled. That's really what I'm getting at with that one. So it's going to be one of the few, the earlier blending of the small screen and the big screen.
Pressure's on for that. You got to deliver if you're going to finally, bring the transition from small screen to big screen, and you got to deliver. Because if you don't, it's like they probably won't do it again, at least not for a long time. So
yeah,
I hope it goes well.
All right, so let's start with Miss Marvel, because Dan hasn't seen the first episode of Miss Marvel.
We got a trailer to talk about before we get into this, dude.
Oh, we did. I skipped one.
Yeah,
one of the more ridiculous trailers that was dropped recently by one of the world's largest superstars is Black Adam, and we can dive into this one.
If I'm not here, if I'm here to rip on shit, you know what I mean? So like this is
Black Adam.
Oh my god, this looks awful. like, but at least hilariously awful. Like it'll be like I was laughing. Like that was the funniest trailer I've seen in like a couple of years. I was like, he is not even trying. Did he just show up that day and was like, yeah, I'm Black Adam. Like let's do this thing.
Never
like,
Asian man. White.
Like racism. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. Tim did say, he said a few times he's excited about the prospect of Dwayne The Rock Johnson being Black Adam, bringing a little more gravity to the whole situation. And for a moment, he had me because I was like, okay, maybe they will take it more seriously, but that little blip has been completely washed away with the sighting of this trailer. I don't get it. I think I am excited for the Justice Society and to see their portrayal. I think that actually looks kind of interesting. I think the costumes are cool. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, essentially narrating most of this trailer, sounded great. I think he's going to be really good in that role.
Everyone else is going to be great.
I hope so. I mean, is he just going to annihilate the Justice Society like in this movie? Like, is that what's going to happen? Like, I don't know. Well, we'll see. But Dwayne just seems just like one of his like 100 roles this year, and he's going to do what he's always been doing, and that's be Dwayne, and that's a little disheartening for a pretty big character in the DC universe, especially now that Dwayne's playing the role. All of a sudden Black Adam is going to be like a main player and everything, and it makes me not that excited. The anti-hero role is sort of fascinating. I did like obviously you've heard me be jaded about heroes taking the no-kill rule way too seriously and it being refreshing when they don't. So he's like, yeah, I kill people. I'm like, okay, I like that. That's something. But other than that, Tim said he liked the costume. I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me. It felt like it looks like a bunch of just torn bed sheets, really tightly strapped to him. I don't. There's just I gotta say I'm intrigued to watch this because it seems like it might be a train wreck, and I'm kind of like weirdly intrigued by it. I feel sorry for the poor DC universe, man. Like,
Oh, it's over.
if it wasn't for Batman this year, that entire thing would be done. Like now the Amber Heard ridiculousness and Aquaman 2, like I don't know what's gonna happen. It's clear something's gonna happen in this upcoming Flash movie that's gonna change everything, but I I got not
It's
a lot
just ridiculous.
guys at this
The
point. I feel
whole
bad because there's great characters to be explored here, and there's great animated movies that come out of this universe that if all they had to do was just do a little bit of those and just follow a very basic kind of like storyline and premise. And anyway, but I hope
well,
things
they're
turn out,
sprinting. That's the
yeah,
reason. But
exactly
the
right.
movie itself, as a whole, probably is fine as far as story goes. You know, I don't think that they're going to do too much wrong with that. Everyone else, supporting cast, does look fantastic.
Yeah,
So
which
you
is
know
too
that'll
bad.
be interesting
But
to see. I am intrigued to see how they handle it because you know he's going to be a villain pretty much in the rest of the universe if they combine him. So I don't know
I
how
don't
much of it he's going to be because I don't know
see.
how much of that anti-hero he'll be because he has been historically like leaning very villainy. He's not like your typical anti-hero like a Frank Castle or a Deadpool or something
Yeah,
like that.
he's
He
a
is
villain.
yeah, but he's had moments where he has been
I
an
mean,
anti-hero
I
and stuff like that. So
I
it'll be
dare.
interesting to see what they're going to do with it.
It
So
will be
I don't
interesting.
know.
I dare say, since Dwayne is in the role, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden Black Adam becomes a hero because Dwayne Johnson has to be a hero in the movies that he.
He's always been a defender of Kandak, the city he's lived in. He's always been the champion to those people, to the those who have suffered and everything in his home country.
That's
So it'll be
that's.
interesting to see if they dive into that.
I hope. I mean, I don't know. Mark my words. They're gonna start making Black Adam like a more Venom Punisher type because Dwayne needs to be a hero in his movies, not the villain. I hope he
George,
becomes.
you just watched it like today. What did you think of the impression of it?
Whatever. I don't got much to say about it.
That's fair. That is completely fair.
Like I'm not
Um,
like, it's not like the best thing, and I don't have any
it's
like
just
I don't know anything about the character, so I'm not going into it with any like real expectations or preconceived notions. Oh, what this should be or shouldn't be, or what the right. Or just it's another DC film, which says all it needs to say.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much. What makes me sad
bad.
is you see a show like Moon Knight take so much pride in the Egyptian history and culture and everything it has to offer. It filmed on site. It for places. It had a lot of people behind the scenes, in front of the camera, behind the camera that were of Egyptian descent, and really made that a foreground. And like even the main actor like did accents and like was from different places, and like you had all these different characters. And then you know the director of Moon Knight took a shot at Black Adam because it was like, like why not use a real Egyptian city or something like that? And like I get it, it's a fictional city, it's made up, and DC's always used fictional cities and stuff like that, which I'm fine with. But like now that I see the trailer, I'm like, Rock didn't even try to like he's Rock, and that works in a chunk of his movies because I just want to go watch The Rock. But when I watch Black Adam, I want to watch Black Adam, and I'm not getting Black Adam. I'm getting The Rock. Like if he had even attempted to have an accent, I think, or just like gruff up his voice more than it is something, literally anything, I'd have been a little bit happier about it. But is it
I
going to
mean,
look cool and have some cool action scenes? Yeah, you bet your ass. It's going to have some giant CGI battle, but
yeah. I don't
we
think
can
Rock has it in him to do an accent like that
no,
anyway.
he
So I
doesn't.
guess that's fine. But
The
like
only time
something.
he's acted is oh my god, what was the name of that movie?
I'm intrigued to hear what you're gonna say.
Southland Tales. That's the only time he's acted. Go watch Southland Tales. It's from
I
the
remember.
it's from the writer director of Donnie Darko, and it stars Rock, and he acts the shit out of it for who he is.
He
He
about this
acted the
movie.
shit out of it.
Yeah, I remember. God, I skipped that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's really weird, but if you want to see him kind of act a little bit more, I would check that out.
I would say he did some acting.
Actually, there's a movie called Be Cool where he plays like
movie.
a really like
Goofy.
Yeah, that was actually one of his better performances.
Yeah.
Can Framing poses the question: can Rock really try? Can he really? I don't know. I think to Dwayne he is, because we've talked about this. Like he comes from the wrestling world where you work year round and you don't have days off, and he's just kind of like got used to that, and now he just books his schedule like movies as such, and he's just like, all right, here we go, here we're doing what we're doing now, Dwayne the Rock Johnson energy, let's go. And I don't even think he has time to like get into character per movie, because that would require like a lot of concentration. He's just going and showing up and getting his money, and people eat it up, and that's fine. I do hope for a rockessence,
Rock-honestance.
Yeah, there you go. Someday maybe he takes roles a little more seriously, but that seems far away at this point. So I know he's got it in him. I really feel like he's got it in him if he really wants to try, but we might never know.
Before this show becomes a reconnaissance, let's move on.
My bad.
George and I are all caught up on. Oh no, we're doing Miss Marvel. I got out of order. There's not a lot to really, in my opinion, be said about Miss Marvel. Even if Dan had watched it, for me, this first episode was 45 minutes. It was the shortest of any Marvel or Star Wars, whatever TV show that we've gotten, and my issue with it, I liked it. I had a good time watching it. My issue is not with it. It's with Marvel's writing structure for their television shows, in that they give you a slow burn for about 4 episodes, because they're only ever 6 episodes long. They give you a slow burn of character and then cram all the plot in 2 episodes, all the action in 2 episodes. And it just hasn't worked. Like they started doing, I think the first 3 shows they did were great. They did plot, they did character and story, and it all meshed really well together. WandaVision, Loki, and Captain Falcon. I think they all did a good job in doing that and moving the story along. And then after that, it's all just been like this trudge of sludge that you're getting through to get to the 2-episode payoff of, here's the setup for what they're going to be in the MCU. So, this being a new character hopefully they're going to be doing it a little bit differently. I am very intrigued to see where it goes.
I understand where you're coming from that perspective, but I think that's also like a viewing habit that like you're looking at it. I'll say it again. You're looking at it from like a single episode perspective. Like they don't see, like Disney doesn't see Disney Plus shows as that anymore. They've made it very clear. They see it as a 6-hour film. Like that's what they're trying to do. And that is why the pacing of the shows are the way they are. And this is not just Marvel. This is for Star Wars too. Like the pacing of the show is going to be like this, all these shows, because that's just how Disney is viewing their products plus from here.
I don't think Obi-Wan is doing that though. I think Obi-Wan is moving along at a normal pace. The story progresses in each episode a little bit. I think in like the first 4 episodes of Hawkeye, nothing fucking happened. Nothing. Not one fucking thing happened.
I think Obi-Wan is if you look at it, I feel like Obi-Wan is an exception.
I mean, Mando had at least Mando had like it was just a bunch of side quests.
It was episodic. What you're talking about,
but Mando is also like very early beyond. But if you look at like how Boba Fett is treated, you look at like, and this is something they've been very clear about. Like they're like, we don't, and same thing with Moon Knight. like if you watch the behind the scenes thing, like for Moonlight, they said it like they was just like the way I'm saying it now. They say we're no longer treating Marvel and Disney Plus shows like single episode shows anymore. Like we rather it feel like a 6-hour movie because that's the production value good as a film. So therefore, when they write it and they do the pacing,
they're nailing it.
They're choosing to do it that way. Well, I mean, you got to give them. I mean, they're
trying.
Like, it's a new way of filmmaking. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a new way of filmmaking. So I'm willing to give them that like leeway and try to get get to where it is they want to go. But I think if you look at it from that perspective of like, okay, it's a 6-hour film, therefore they're trying to find the right. I don't know. I guess I'm more forgiving a scene issue.
I just feel like why you don't need to reinvent the wheel with television. There's a lot of things that have worked for a very long time that even like look at like Game of Thrones, like the way they did theirs, they were fairly episodic, but everything moved forward in each episode. And there was, it was compelling and intriguing, even when it was really slow during the middle of it. There was still a lot. I think
you're looking at Game of Thrones with a bit of a rose-colored glasses when you tell me that the pacing of Game of Thrones is.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I do not agree. That is like a strong disagree.
But look at like the way they told. Look at like seasons like 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like those were compelling. Everybody wanted those. At the end of every episode, you were intrigued to know what you wanted.
No one wanted
7, 4, 5, and 6.
And even like the first 6 episodes of season 6 are not very well regarded either.
You are looking at Game of Thrones.
Yeah, everyone regards seasons 1.
Game of Thrones is not the best.
As the good, and season 5 was like the downfall of Thrones for many people.
I enjoyed them still, but
I mean,
like I don't think that if you're looking at it in a 6-hour movie, I don't think that they hit the pacing. I don't think that it worked for Moon Knight. I don't think it worked for Hawkeye. I don't think it worked. There was another one in there that I'm forgetting. It didn't really
like. I think like
for me.
You can say that about whatever shows that air now. But you've only seen one episode of, so like you can't say that that's how it's going to end up too.
It looks cool. The show is filmed very differently and shot very differently, and it didn't feel like what everyone anticipated. It didn't feel like a CW show, which was cool.
With the risk of spoiling it for the rest of the show.
No spoilers.
No, not about the show itself, but spoiling the rest of this episode. Out of all the things that I've watched and out of like that were discussed this week, this is the best thing I saw. I'm more excited about this than I am about anything else, at least.
Wait, about what?
About Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, you know what? It's actually Marvel's take on one of my favorite comic book movies out there, Scott Pilgrim. It has a very Scott Pilgrim feel to it.
I love that.
Because it's like a younger, like more bright, and has that like Scott Pilgrim feel to it. I actually really, really feel like this is whoever did this film and like did all the artwork and did the styling of this film. I fucking 100% guarantee he watched Scott Pilgrim before.
Interesting. Well, I'm a little more inclined to watch.
Right, Tim? Can you not like agree with me on that?
No, it very much so is. I got a little ahead of myself. My main issue was more about the overall storytelling of Marvel, not the show. The Miss Marvel episode that I saw was fantastic. It was very good. Stylistically, it was fresh and cool. I liked what they're doing with the story. I really do want to know more about the character. I think she's fantastic in it. Her story of how she became Miss Marvel, I think, is amazing. She's like, she's lived the parallel life of this character, which is absolutely hilarious. Which, if anyone who's played the game or read any Miss Marvels, there's no real spoilers. There's, a kid who idolizes Miss Marvel who essentially becomes Miss Marvel. And this kid idolized Miss Marvel. Iman, what's her name? Imani? I'm going to get it wrong, and I apologize for that. And she was a fan. She was a fan of Marvel. She's a fan of Captain Marvel, and now she's the titular character in Miss Marvel, which I just think is really cool and a nice fun story. So
it's kind of crazy. you can appreciate it. In many ways, it's like you know how this will go back to Stargate Universe. You know how Eli is like supposed to be kind of like the viewer's perspective. This is as if like a Marvel fan who was like us in real life became like a superhero. So it like feels like a kid who has grown up enjoying all this Marvel merchandise and Marvel stuff finally becomes a hero, and it gives that kid that like view perspective and dream kind of. So I really enjoy that idea. It's not something they've done yet. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not something they've done yet, and it seems like it's the right tone and the right time to do it because like they're trying to reach a different audience kind of as well. And it I think this is actually probably going to be like
I'm hoping it is.
I'm hoping you're right, George. I personally have gotten pretty jaded on the oversaturation of Marvel and Star Wars.
It is 100% different than any of the other Marvel films Marvel TV shows. It is so incredibly different than any of the Marvel shows that you've seen that in a way, maybe because it's so different, it's kind of refreshing.
Okay.
It's like you're trying something different. Thank God.
Okay. Thank God, man. Oh my God. That Hawkeye, first episode of Hawkeye, I was like, what is happening? She's literally just beating people up. She just followed this dog out of the room for no reason at all. I was like, I turned that show off. I had to struggle through until we finally got to the third episode where at least some action rectified what was really not that great of a show. You know, hiding behind comedy made it like tolerable, and that's, I don't know, man. Even Moon Knight, which honestly was pretty good, I wasn't inspired. Like I just was like, this just feels like they're like going through the motions at this point. And I haven't watched it, so now I'm much more excited to watch it because honestly, I wasn't that excited to watch it. There's so many things happening, and it feels very formulaic. So the fact that you say that it's different gives me hope for the future. I don't think they need to do this many, which is funny for me to say. Like, I'm glad like all these different comic book characters are going to get their time in the sun, but like, God, quality over quantity. Like, it just anyway. I hope you're right. I'm going to go into it with an open mind and hope that they can do something slightly different moving forward, like they are there with this one.
I will say I slightly agree with you on that one, that there is a lot of oversaturation. I feel like now is a good time to just get into it before we even get into Obi-Wan. We'll make it, which we'll keep it so that we are brief. It is true. There's phase 4 has been a lot different than the rest of the Marvel universe. There was a time where we were getting a Marvel movie 1 or 2 a year, but it was, a few months in between, 4 or 6 months in between, and that was fine, but it left you talking about it and wanting more. Whereas now between movies, you have 1 to 2 TV shows, whether that be Marvel or even like, you can lump Star Wars into this because it's in the same kind of genre and everything, but it is kind of getting oversaturated a little bit. Now, for me, I'm looking at this with like a split kind of feel. I am so excited that all of these characters and all of these things are coming to the show or coming to the screen, some screen. I will watch every single one of them because this was me. This was my childhood, was reading comic books and watching these kinds of things on Saturday morning cartoons and people making fun of me for reading comics where it wasn't cool and fun. And now it's like the most mainstream thing there is on this planet right now. It's what's keeping most people from losing their freaking minds during the pandemic, practically speaking. So I'm excited for it. But at the same time, I am also becoming a little jaded, where especially with Moon Knight, where I was like, that was a good show, but like I find myself kind of, danning it a little bit more, being lay smirch on this one here, and kind of leaning into the hate.
Me a verb. That's not fair.
Oh, it's too late, dude. It's way too late. I really smirched it up on this one. But especially right now with the overlap, we've got 2 shows. This is the first time they've done this. We have 2 new shows on Disney Plus every Wednesday. We've got Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel. So it's going to kind of it's going to speak to how powerful Marvel is versus Star Wars. does Disney hold enough weight that both of these shows are going to have enough viewers? You know, if this were a regular TV slot, would they both still make it? Would it divide the fans that they're trying to provide content for? It's hard to say because you can stream everything now and watch them at any point in time. So
it's actually a really good segue to what me and Smirch were talking about. Show that's kind of has to do with like this whole move of like being on streaming service, and also has a lot. Netflix, for the first time, has reported a loss in subscription. For the first time, they're talking about offering a second, cheaper, lower tier that will have commercials. When from the day one, Netflix was adamant about no ads.
Yeah.
The way people view content has changed since the pandemic, right? And who knows, maybe in the next year, who knows, maybe there'll be another strain and there'll be another surge and people will be less hesitant to go to movie theaters, though that doesn't seem like hopefully it'll ever happen like that, as bad as it was in the beginning. But, you know, like, in many ways, all these streaming platforms and all these companies and studios are just hedging their bets. You know, like, they need to make money because they're a business, and they're going to try to find a way to make money in every single possible way that they can deliver content to you, whether it's a big screen, a small screen, or your phone. Like, whatever it is, they're going to try to find a way to get you content and get your money, right? So I think because every studio and every company knows that that's the case, and every streaming service now is essentially hunting for your like your $15, $16, $20 a month that you have set aside for streaming, and competition now is so hard that Disney has to produce this much content in order for them to keep your subscription. Like, it has to keep up, and it has to essentially bury the other streaming service competition, you know? And I will say one of the lucky things about Disney, because of the fact that they had such a strong rotating, like, ongoing lineup of shows, is that it did not see the falter that we saw in Netflix. It did not see that gap problem that Netflix really has, which is just what Dan and I were talking about. A bunch of shows that on Netflix debuted during that pandemic era, had one season, had some hype because a lot of people were stuck inside watching it, and then now they're just getting their second season, and it's going to be interesting to see how much of those numbers were inflated by the pandemic, and if they have fans who've waited 2 years now for a second season to be able to carry on. I think like Warrior Nun is one of those. Winx Saga, the fairy like fantasy show that they have. Lock and Key is coming back for a third season. All these shows that did really well during the pandemic. How are they going to be able to be, you know, now that there's less subscribers, now there's like people who aren't watching stuff because they're not stuck inside anymore. Like, who knows? Like, a lot of these shows that got a second season 2 years later, I don't think are going to make it on Netflix. I'm sorry to say.
I mean,
it's interesting because
definitely I agree with that, because Netflix has seemingly been axing shows left and right, even ones that were popular. From my perspective, I don't know the numbers, but like, or how the decision making process works. But like, if they're, you know, it's like, oh, this show wasn't quite as good. Like, let's cancel it and try something else. Like, that's the main reason why they've been losing so many subscribers, from what I can understand. And so you know, and when I heard that Netflix was doing the ad thing, I was misinformed. I thought they were going to bring ads to the main, paying service, which I was obviously,
they would have lost everybody.
Yeah, I was like, this is how you lose people. But a separate service makes sense, especially
like
since
a
they're
Hulu.
declining numbers. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who's making the decisions to cancel shows over there, but it seems like they're doing themselves a disservice by not giving something at least a couple seasons to be fleshed out. I'm still bitter about, like, what was the first one? Sense8 was like such a good show, and like they just kind of ended that for no reason, and that was a long time ago now. But I think it's going to keep happening. This
is all very, very good points. And if you want to know more about this topic, we, in our last episode, please go check that one out. George and I went in depth on a lot of different canceled television shows before their prime, and we're going to go into them a little bit more here. But like, I know for reading a lot about it, and I think I talked to someone who worked there or worked with someone that worked there, so knew someone. They were canceling a lot of these shows not because of the viewership. The viewers are there, the numbers are there, people are watching the show. It just cost, like, a lot of these shows for Netflix cost so much money. And with Netflix, when they originally started, they didn't own a lot of these shows or movies that they started. Before they started doing their own products, they had to shell out to get the rights to show us The Rock or some other movie that from the 90s and stuff like that. So they were investing in these movies to gain viewership, to then eventually become a production company, to then put out shows. But what happened was they had all this money and then hemorrhaged it into these shows, and then realized, oh shit, we just spent it's way too much money on this show that is almost entirely on location, and they can't keep it up for that long. And so since shows like Sense8 got canceled, which was like their number one viewed show for both seasons that it was out, and the movie when it was released afterwards for like a follow-up. So things like that are going to happen. But I think Disney had a bit more, like, they learned, so Disney has an interesting perspective because they own everything that's on their streaming service now because of all these different acquisitions. They don't have to pay anyone else to stream, here in the UK, Star or whatever the other version is. I know the US has like the M-rated one or whatever. And so they can afford to do that. They can keep it at £8 or $8, excuse me. I've been saying pounds for months. Or $10 or whatever it is. They can keep it cheaper than the rest of them because their main source of income isn't Disney Plus. It's a billion other products. It's the parks, it's the movies, it's everything Disney has ever made, which is half of the entire universe practically at this point. So they have the ability to kind of play with it a little bit more. But if they're going straight streaming, George is 100% right. They need to pump this content because until they did the full acquisition, it was just a couple of Star Wars movies, some Marvel movies, not even all of them because of the Sony products with some of the other stuff. Like the Incredible Hulk still isn't on Disney Plus, at least over here. So there's just like all these moving parts, but I think Disney does have a little bit more leeway because movies like Spider-Man and Endgame made $1 billion each, so they get to play around and kind of win that. To your point with like the pandemic stuff, I was watching the first season of Lock and Key, which is hands down my favorite comic book ever written by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. And I've read every single episode and a bunch of the side stories, and I love it to death. And I thought the show was wonderful. I have yet to watch the second season because it came out during the pandemic, but then like it just didn't keep my there was so much other stuff that happened that it didn't keep my attention. So you're 100% right. The pandemic has changed everything, not just the way we consume content, but the way they make content. It is a lot slower. Because even now, if you're walking around the world, you don't have to wear a mask. But on the movie sets, they're still wearing masks. They're still making sure people are vaccinated. They're still taking all of these precautions. So it changed the game on how content is made and consumed. So it'll be very interesting to see what's happening going forward with everything. Do we want to dive a little into Obi-Wan? Sure. Dan, you're behind. You're 2.5 episodes in. George and I are full 4. I mean, after this 48 minutes in, I'm still trying to remember what happened in each episode of Obi-Wan. And that's
just talk about it in general.
It's not because it's a bad show. I'm enjoying the content that I'm given. I like Ewan McGregor reprising the role. I think he's excellent. I like a lot of these side characters that we're seeing, which I'm not going to get into too much because I don't know what Dan's seen or not.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't care about spoilers for Star Wars.
It's cool to see him, but it's nothing against the show for me so much as it is. there's just so many new things happening at once with what we just discussed. I'm watching Miss Marvel. I'm watching Obi-Wan. We just came off the heels of Moon Knight. There's just so much happening that it's like I barely digested Moon Knight, and I'm already taking in.
You know how I've talked about
Star
this
Wars.
before, how Netflix kind of just turns out these very mediocre movies, like mediocre action movies that are just so middle of the road. Obi-Wan, honestly, nostalgia is the only reason this show is carrying any weight for me right now. The nostalgia of seeing and hearing Darth Vader and the sound of a lightsaber and the sight of a lightsaber world, it's just okay. I'm gonna try to say something positive about things because I'm working on that. I do think I just got the negativity sandwich, some positivity in the middle. The child actor playing Leia, I think, is doing a great job, and I think after being burned by many child actors in the science fiction universe, I am glad to see her do what she can. She's so young, and she's doing it. I mean,
She's very talented.
She's such a little spitfire. It's so great. I'm so glad they found her.
She doesn't really. She obviously has watched Carrie Fisher before. Like she has some of the mannerism and attitude that Carrie had in the first movie. The original.
Really good. I'm still feeling. Honestly, I'm sure Anakin Skywalker comes up, as a kind of a big, a wound to get over. Honestly, one of the biggest wounds for me is and I don't understand how he kept coming back. As anyone has watched The Next Generation, the Worf's son Alexander was the worst, the worst. And I don't want to rip it. He was a child. It's different for kids, and I understand that. But anytime he was in an episode, I'm just like, oh no. I can see him reading the lines. So I'm big ups to her, and there's a couple of good child actors in the Orville as well. So anyway, that being said, good for her. This show so far, what I've seen, just I don't know, man, feels like again just kind of churning out content, and this should carry more weight than any other Star Wars show. This should be these are people you've seen in movies. This should be the main attraction. And it feels, and I get that the feel is that Obi-Wan's gotten into hiding and this has a small scale feel to it. But again, love Ewan McGregor. To me, he is my Obi-Wan because Alec Guinness can eat a dick for all I care. He did fine.
Strong words from Dan Smirch.
I'm sorry, Alec Guinness did great on screen, but that dude trashed Star Wars constantly, which is ironic coming from me, and I get that.
Yes,
but
very.
Ian McGregor I like, and it's just this show it just feels kind of very middle of the road. It's not bad. It's not very good. It's just kind of okay. All the inspiration for me is coming from Leia, and everything else just feels like just more cash, more capitalizing on the nostalgia, and I don't know. So that's my thoughts on the matter.
Okay,
George.
I think there's it has some of the little Easter eggs that I know people really enjoy, especially if you've watched
Easter
Rebels.
eggs.
If you are a Gunther and you like to hunt for eggs, I know this show is sprinkled with tons of Easter eggs, so you might enjoy that. And that's the same reason why probably people enjoy Rogue One. And if you watch Star Wars Rebels, you might have your own little payoff, and you'll see things that you might enjoy because you might catch some things that people have never seen it. So whatever, it's another show that's Star Wars diehards, I think. Casual viewer. Yep. I will say that once again, I don't know why this always comes up, but was this Ingram getting shit on unjustifiably
Love for
by,
Moses.
by the Star Wars community once again going after like the only non-white actor that has like a major role in the film, and
What else is there?
this shit just keeps happening. I don't understand what's wrong with people. So like,
It's just a bunch of sexist, racist
yeah, it's just
motherfuckers
a bunch
who
like
don't like seeing it.
who
And
don't
it
like seeing
sucks
other
that they
people who are
exist.
not, like the idea that a white person, like a non-white person, could succeed in like in film and television
Did they
or
ever
even on
watch Star
screen is
Trek?
just like somehow offends like people. I don't understand. So it's
Even
she
even if
is doing a perfectly fine job for the role that she's been given, and she also actually she did a really if you guys ever watched the Queen Gambit, she did a really great job. Series.
I mean,
In
even
what?
if even anyway.
Like even if she did, let's take it aside. Even if she didn't, you feel like she didn't do a bad job.
Like, it's
She
not
didn't do
her
a good
fault.
job.
Like,
Yeah,
the
like
writing
that's not her
matters.
fault.
Like,
She's doing the best she can with the material that she's given. But also, like
It's
the
not even
reason
that,
why
though.
people are criticizing her has very little to do with like how can I explain it? She's not being compared. Like they wouldn't treat her the same way if I'm sorry to say if she wasn't black and a woman.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you're not
it's-
judging her by the same criteria that you're giving to any other like white male actor. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
I
like,
mean, when the
get it.
company that you work for comes to you before the show releases and has a plan in place for dealing with racism, there's a problem in the world. That
yeah.
just be like they're like, look, we have your back. Here's how we want to get ahead of this thing. Like they literally did that, and she posted about it. They posted about it and everything before the show even released. And it's sad that that's the world that we fucking live in, that there's so many just horrible people who have been given a voice, and it's just it's the worst.
And kudos to like,
for Moses. I think she's excellent in this as well. I think she plays,
I think she's doing a good job for what she's what she's been given. Like she's not like I'm not like whatever criticism I have of her has nothing to do with like her ability as an actress or whatever. It's more like the material that she's given may not be the best. Like that's the problem. It's not her. Like it's obviously not her.
I mean, it reminds me of all the hate that Rose got in Last Jedi.
Exactly. That's what I'm
so
saying.
Unwarranted, so unnecessary.
She's doing the best she can do.
Dude, she did a great job.
Yeah,
like she was fun and inspired and a good like dynamic with Finn, and then all of a sudden, like third movie barely there. Like
it was just hate, man, and it's awful.
It is awful.
I can't.
There's no place for it. I don't really understand
people,
what
man.
happened. And and kudos to Disney, for being jumping ahead of the game, but also kudos to like the rest of her cast. I know Ewan did like he put out a video and he show his support, and like I expect nothing less from him because everyone says he's a stand-up guy. So
I don't know. Disney's claims are. I don't know, man. It's really Finn and Rose all of a sudden were barely part of those movies after being very prominently featured in their initial portrayal in that trilogy.
Yeah.
Rose, I think. I don't think she wanted to be a forefront of that after the amount of shit that she got for it, and
I guess who can blame her? I guess that's a thing.
Yeah, it's sad, So
yeah, that's fair. I didn't know that. Okay.
I like seeing the sisters and brothers. I don't know, the Inquisitors and that type of character on screen. I was a fan of the Star Wars that video game Fallen Order, which was the first time I was really introduced to these types of characters. So to see that kind of like come to life, I was like, oh, that's cool. I recognize that from the game. Again, the nostalgia thing. But like I think those types of characters, I think they're great. They're tormented, very much so tormented characters that were once Jedis that are now.
I mean, you gotta watch Clone Wars, dude. Like,
yeah, I know, but this is just for me.
I haven't watched Rebels because Rebels like that first season was kind of rough. So, but I'm gonna try to get into it, and I've been trying to catch up on the Bad Batch as well.
I like seeing these characters on screen, so I thought that was very cool. If you want to know more about our feelings on Star Wars, watch our Star Wars Day episode. It's very long, but you can click through it, and there's the ending. There's an end credit after that is very. It sums up a lot of how we feel. You can go ahead and watch that. It's at like the hour 47-minute. It's a really long episode. Stranger Things came back, guys. I don't know if anybody knew this. The phenomenon that was Stranger Things came back after a long hiatus. In sake of going over, we're going to talk about it because we're at about an hour now. So bear with us, and we'll have some good things to say here. We'll have some interesting points to say. Again, I am playing my same role here. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching this. Dan's right. We were talking about this earlier. It did feel a little different than what the other shows were, other seasons were like. It felt like the formula changed a little, and I'm not mad at that. I think some things needed updating, and I think they did a pretty good job with them. There were some tropes that just like the relationship between Henderson, what's his name, the kid with the curly hair, and Steve. That seemed weird this season to me. I don't know. They were just like quips, and like they were just more like ragging on each other the whole time that I don't really remember. So like things changed, from the last season to this one. Obviously, time passed and all that kind of stuff.
They're more brotherly, like, and they're like know each other better, so they're gripping in each other a little more. And I kind of got that, I guess. Yeah. But
and what is it about a character? If you write a character that starts to dive into like religious based background for why they're doing what they're doing, if you write a villain that's like a religious based villain, why is it that I like hate them more than anything on the face of the planet? Like this character that they introduced in this season, who's the head star of the basketball team. Excuse me, spoilers. It turns into, obviously they're playing into the trope of D&D that actually was a conversation in the 80s where it started to come around, and everyone was like, well, this is the stuff of the devil, and if you play this, then you're a Satan worshiper. Like, that was a real conversation in the news in the 80s for these people who were writing the show, which I thought was very interesting. But it's like, I hated that character so much just because of there's just no logic to this argument, and it just is like a blind rage directed towards a set of characters, and it just makes me, which is like, that's what they wanted out of the show, out of those types of characters. Mm-hmm. But it's just something about those characters makes me they're easy to hate.
Self-righteousness. No one likes it.
No, I mean, also he seems 25, so that doesn't help.
They all seem 25.
But we've talked about this before, Tim, and I think I've tried to convince you that that when they do that, when they elicit that really strong emotional response, that's them succeeding. I know you genuinely don't. Okay, so you acknowledge.
No, I'm acknowledging that they did a great job making me hate this person that we're supposed to hate. They did it well.
We way back in the day, one of my first casts with Tim before we were on screen was about good villains, and the eliciting an actual emotional response is not always an easy thing to do, and sometimes turning to like an old-fashioned thing like doing terrible things in the name of the Lord is it's an old clearance code, but it checks out. It works, and I know we've talked about. I know whenever this comes up, I can't not bring up. The Mist and the lady in the grocery store. Whew,
that's exactly what I think.
She was so good. I hated her. I hated her so much. How dare you? Like, if Jesus was here, he would have a hard time not punching you. Like, doing terrible things in the name of God is like the worst thing in the world. Anyway,
it's not even that. They're deniers of everything else around them too.
Right. We're getting a little off track here. But the Stranger Things, for me, this kind of felt like I was saying to George, this feels like a season 7 of Game of Thrones. It's like the good stuff is kind of behind us. They're just kind of like sticking to a formula and not really doing anything out of bounds, and kind of putting a lot of pressure on the ending, and whether that ending delivers will be remain to be seen. But I don't know. Spoilers ahead. We're going to discuss all the episodes and the ending. The reveal of the villain was cool. I
I
don't
like that.
think I did like it. I don't. It didn't land for me entirely because the whole time I was like, where has this dude been the whole time? And how and where is the mind flare, the seemingly big bad that's been looming over everything and has no appearance, or and the only time he's even mentioned is by Dustin when he's speculating that this Vecna is his 5-star general. Which I guess since Dustin said it, we just have to take that as truth. I don't really know. And the fact that if we're even gonna get any clarity on that matter in the last 2 episodes, I don't even know if we will. And that's a little disheartening. I think I do acknowledge that they have had, like, this is another prime example, a show coming back from the pandemic. Things feel different, and I understand that. And also, to me, it's been a long time since I saw like the first season, but like every time I remember first experiencing a season of Stranger Things, it just felt magical. It just felt like really good, and I couldn't stop watching. I had no problem stopping watching this season. I didn't really feel like binging it at all. And I think part of that maybe is like we never really got the reunion of all the guys together and the getting the game back together, and it just felt like too many things were happening, and that was like one of the best parts of the show was the banter and the camaraderie, and we got none of that. Mike and the kid who was lost in the first season were barely in the last 2 episodes, if at all. They just kind of were like, oh, they're in California now, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Like I thought those guys were like main characters, and they're not even in the last episode. Like, I feel bad for them. But I don't know. I think dare I say it? I know it's me. I'm playing my role. Feels like they're setting us up for some disappointment. They really got to deliver in these last 2 seasons. Why is Vecna doing this? Like, he's just doing it because he's a formerly scorned man who, by the way, did talk about not casting for the right age. That dude should have been 40 looking, and he was not. He should have been way older, and maybe that was to hide the reveal, so it would be more of a surprise. But I just didn't understand that. I don't know. It feels like different. It feels like everything's been like kind of mysterious.
No, he's the right age.
He's the right age
because it's all memory. It's all in the past.
But when did that happen? When did the whole thing happen where he, with his family? Like, how long before, the event?
In the 40s.
The 40s?
Yeah.
So, okay, all right, maybe
he'd be about late 30s. I mean, he looks like he's our age.
He looks much younger.
People our age. We just look old. That's all.
Okay. I'm not using us as a template for what age is Slice. I'm saying in general, he looked much younger than what he was supposed to be.
I think he did great.
I think he was good. I think it was a good. Yeah. I think for what it was. I just we've had things have been more mysterious in what these things are and what their motivation is, and all of a sudden now we're basically giving a human turned the upside down demon thingy, and it's like, what? Okay, I guess that's kind of a cool reveal, but like we've got no forward movement on why the upside down is what it is, or where the mind flayer is, or why they even had the Demigorgon in the prison. No explanation for that. Just there to be a thing. I don't know. There's not a lot of. It just feels like they're kind of like moving forward and not like acknowledging what got them there in the first place.
Okay,
George.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you guys said about that. I would say my takeaway from it is that there's a like for those first few episodes, I think I felt like it was very triggering. Like there was the parts where they talk about hating people, like all the girls and the people at school were bullying like
Ugh.
11. It was like incredibly triggering
That's
because
rough.
I was like, damn, dude, like, and it brought me back to my childhood because I feel like I mean everyone I think has gone through bullying. Like everyone's been bullied in school before.
I,
So like,
I was triggered for more than one reason. That didn't feel like at all. I mean, like no one was like she finally fought back for herself, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you actually hit her!
yeah,
You're the terrible."
it's a
Like,
funny. I
of
was gonna
course she
say
did. Like
it's a
that
funny
didn't make any
story.
sense to
Like the
me. I
reason
don't
why I
understand
say
that
it
at
was
all.
triggering is because like that's happened to me. I like there was an I don't know if Tim remembers. Tim wasn't in the same class as
Probably.
was but he was down the hall from me. But I don't know if he remembers in and when we were in middle school, like in 6th grade, I got suspended because like someone was bullying me and I got physical with him and like almost put him
Too.
like he fortunately like he didn't wasn't seriously hurt, but like he had concussion like symptoms, you know, and like I got suspended for like a day or two because of it. And
That's
it's like I
that's
like it was
bull.
incredibly triggering because I was like, I totally know where she's coming from, dude. I know how it feels.
Yes.
So and like I think everyone who's ever gone through bullying could probably like relate to that. And it also kind of had it had like a slightly Carrie feel to it. Now, like I feel
Totally,
like
totally.
there was
Big
definitely an
time.
homage to that, and I can appreciate that. You know, a lot of I think a lot of what's interesting about Stranger Things is that it does play a lot of nods to like old school 80s type
Oh, I mean,
culture. You know, everything
that's
from
why
Ghostbusters to
that's why everyone
Goonies
loved it.
to
Yeah.
ET. So it you could still see the remnants of what made the show like, really good. And also, as far as like not being in the same place, I think, and this will maybe spoil a little. Apologize, but I think one of the reasons why they chose to do this is because when shows hit, for some reason, when shows like this they hit like a certain amount of seasons, in order for them to have more characters brought in and more interaction and different interaction with different things, they have to split up the core people. And that happens with a lot of shows. It's like it's
True.
you can almost time it by the seasons. That's just the way it is. You know, it happened with Lost. It
Mhm.
happens with Battlestar Galactica. It happens with freaking Game of Thrones, and it happened actually with The Expanse as well. So when you hit, there's like like
Spoilers.
this.
I'm kidding.
There's this like area when a show drags on, not drags on, but goes for more than multiple seasons, like 2 or 3 or 4 seasons. The way that writers keep it fresh, quote unquote, and to introduce new cast members and things like that is they have to split up that original of group of
Yeah,
people because if they don't do that, they can't like it's just the same people interact. Do you know what I'm saying? Like so for that reason of why they split the gang out, I'm more forgiving because I understand the and the because they had to introduce new characters, they had to bring in like different interaction with different people, and then you know hopefully like you said there will be off at the end. Everybody does come together, and usually in series like this there is that payoff. So you know we
Yeah.
already saw Winona
I mean,
reunite with Hopper, so
true.
it's only a matter of
True.
time before everybody comes back together to
That's the weirdest storyline in the whole thing. Is like it. You know, it's cool that they're bringing him back and everything, but like, where are you going with that? You know, of all the storylines, like how like now you got to come back and like it was a long drawn out process to bring back a character. Um, am I happy that Hop's there? Yeah, I love David Harbour. I think he's a good part of the show, you know, and I think he really kind of tied down Winona Ryder's character and really made it
I think they're
grounded
trying
her
to
and everything and gave her an interest.
I think they're
I
trying
like that
to
other guy.
they're trying to elicit some of like the stuff. And speaking of that other guy who's also Junker Hagar from Game of Thrones, um, it has. I think what they're trying to
What?
do.
Yeah,
Other guys,
a
Junker Hagar
man
from
has no
Game of
name.
Thrones.
The Russian
The
dude.
man has no name.
No, I'm talking about the the comedic effect guy, the one
Okay.
traveling with Joyce.
Okay.
I think he's
The
ridiculous that they
professor.
actually made him like just like kick all this ass,
Yeah,
and you're just
yeah.
like, what the fuck just
That's
happened?
funny.
This is ridiculous. I thought it was fun.
He did.
The
He did the
lunatic
Karate Kid.
conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, he did the crane.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that like the dynamic that they have with like Hopper and Levin is obviously they have a very close like established friendship, but I think the dynamic, or not dynamic, the feel they're trying to entice is that when the two unite, it's going to be Jon Snow. What's her name? With Arya, kind of like I feel it's been so long that they've seen each other. Both probably thought the other dead, never going to see each other ever, and it's like I understand, like.
Well, she for sure thinks he's dead.
Yeah, she probably thinks he's dead. So we'll see.
I mean, it really does come down to these last two episodes, which are like an hour and a half. What is it? An hour and 25 minutes and 2.5 hours. So, we're getting two feature-length movies to finish off this series.
Some of these episodes were an hour and 15 minutes.
The last one was an hour and 25 minutes. It's
like even some of the middle ones were pretty long. Like
yeah, and for me, I liked the dive into 11 to kind of see what happened. While more to what was going on there, I thought that was nice. It's always nice to see Paul Reiser again.
Yeah,
but yeah, and Matthew Modine does Papa really well. He plays that character very well. So they're hitting the actors are hitting the paces, and everybody's firing on all cylinders. It's really up to the writers, the Duffer brothers, to see what they're doing with the end of the show and the story. So. Yeah, the reveal was cool. Honestly, I did also forget about the Mind Flayer a little bit. I was like, oh, he was defeated, but I was like, no, he wasn't. He was just put back into the Upside Down. So, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't see them. My prediction is we're going to be left with like a mini cliffhanger. Who is it? Dr. Scorpion here's got a pretty good prediction of the series of events that's going to happen. Guys are picking up Elle, arriving in town, kicking ass. Fine. But I bet they're going to leave it with like a cliffhanger, not a cliffhanger, but like we stopped this, but the Upside Down still exists. I don't think they're going to destroy the Upside Down. It's going to kind of be like all is well, but there's, something that's just not, it's just going to be left hanging in the wind. Like so many other shows and movies that have done stuff like that. So that's my main prediction for what of things to come. You're probably going to get some characters killed off. It looks like someone's going to die as it is. Spoilers. Someone's not really doing so well going into these last two episodes. But
I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, a newcomer, the last two seasons? He wasn't in the first season, was he? Or the second? No, he was in the second. I don't remember.
We're talking about the Dungeon Master? Oh, Steve. Well, Steve's been around since the first season. He was the villain in the first season, kind of.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. It's been a while since I've consumed Stranger Things, so I like the new guy, I guess. He's fine. He plays the part, and he is the, what do you call it? The plot device. He's the plot device to keep everything moving forward.
It's funny. I think the character Levin is a plot device. Like, it very rarely feels like anything that's happening to her is like, I don't know. I have opinions about that. I don't know. It's if the whole bullying sequence was, I think, essentially a way to get her to be discovered. And so I think that's why it was kind of poorly done. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too triggered by the whole thing. I was really upset by like how not a single person was like, dude, they are being truly awful. She had this coming. Like, it's a head wound. It bleeds. Like, not a single, like, I don't know. I was maybe too upset to see that from an objective level, but
like, how are you going to arrest a teenager
for
without
like
their parents there?
Yes,
There's
dude,
no,
that's
you can't
yes.
do that.
You can't.
That's
do
the
that.
80s,
That's
dude.
also
Anything
poorly
went. Are
done.
you kidding me? It's
It's
the
true.
80s.
It was
Anything,
maybe.
dude.
fucking 40 years ago.
Maybe
The 80s.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's what I chalked it up to. They like you the things that like you could get away with back then. I don't think even in like in the 90s you could probably get away
Isn't
with
that like
shit,
against
but
the law? Like I guess whatever.
you
it
can
doesn't
get
matter.
away with like
You
in the
cannot
90s.
question someone. You cannot question a minor without
You think
someone
they
in the room with
you
them.
think they like
Oh, then it was
follow that shit back then? No.
whatever
That's
happens. That's California for you. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's hopefully it ends well. This is the last season. This is all it comes down to. There is no more Stranger Things after this. And
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
yeah, they said this season 4 was their last season that they're going to do. And so that's why we're getting this grandeur of episodes, hour and a half, 2.5
Not enough
hours.
time to like wrap everything up. There's no way they're gonna stick this landing. I'm
mean,
sorry.
I don't think they have to wrap everything up necessarily. I think if they leave, like the end of, and this is not the best example, but the end of Inception, where it left you being like, wait, was it a dream? Was it not? What's happening? Like not that question, but leave it kind of like, oh, they defeated the day. Oh, wait, is Mind Flayer still going to be around? Does it exist? Like there's other shows that I can't think of at the moment, and other movies that we've watched that are like, oh, you won, but then like at the end you see like the villain's eyes flash and you can tell that person is still evil, and then the end of the movie and we never get a sequel. And like that's intriguing, it if they do it well, it could work in their favor where they don't have to tie everything up and not use it as a way to cheap out on writing an actual scene. You know what I mean?
Tim, I'm saying there is going to be a season 5.
They're doing a season 5?
Yes.
Jackasses.
This season, they announced that season 5 will be the final chapter.
What the hell was I talking about then? I
don't
read
know. Maybe-
something we're watching, something
Maybe
that
you
I
thought
watched
this part 2 was the final thing, or I don't know.
No, there's something else. I apologize. You're right. Huh. There's something else I'm watching that is coming to an
Thank
end. so that
God.
I didn't-
I'm really glad there's season 5. It feels like there's a lot left to explore and kind of discuss.
Well, that changes the whole way I view this entire season now.
We'll see.
All right,
We'll see how much they actually explore.
Well, that was a ride, folks. We went a little over, only 20 minutes over, so it's not too bad. But thank you, everyone, for coming. We had a raid in the middle there. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you really liked this and had a good time, please give it a like, a subscribe. Check out the Modern Nerd YouTube channel. Follow all the socials. They'll be posted in the comments and everything in the description. We really loved having all the comments here. And sorry we didn't get to everybody's comment, but we will. George had an idea last time where we're going to do a look back and talk more about people's comments. So thank you for being part of the chat and being part of with us today here on the Modern Nerd. Dan, where can they find you?
Match. I don't know. I am merchandise on Instagram.
There you go.
Oh, you changed
George?
it.
I did.
Yeah, he did.
My channel on Twitch, I guess, and YouTube, everywhere is GJC327.
Awesome. We have been the Modern Nerd. Thank you very much.